Right, and we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. It is a Monday lunchtime, and it is Test Match Week, ladies and gentlemen. It is Test Week. It is Argentina versus South Africa at Emirates Airline Park, which kicks off this weekend at 5 o'clock. And so, yeah, we are now into full test mode. In fact, there's currently a press conference happening. Well, it's actually just finished up now. Earlier now with Dion Davids and Ches and Colby. And we'll have a little bit of news about that over the next day and stuff. But we are basically a day out from having the team announcement, which will be announced tomorrow at about 1, I think it is. And it'll be interesting to sort of see what sort of team we put out. There's a lot to decide with regards to combinations, with regards to game time, for example, as well as sort of seeing which players are in good form, which players are in bad form, how do you reward form while still getting certain amount of players enough game time. So there's a lot to really sort of to work with, a lot to decide with the Springbok management. And they did say that the results hadn't changed the plan, that they've had this very clear plan since sort of February, March, and that they will not be moving away from it. So I'm going to put a poll in the comments. And we're talking a little about Jesse Kriel. And, he personally, I think he is going to be named in that side this weekend. I think that, I think we've had Lekanya now for 2 games. We haven't seen Jesse Kriel at all. And I think that, he will go to the World Cup. He is our only other 13 option in the squad. And as a result, he needs to get game time. He needs to go out and he needs to, we need to see what he can do. He needs to get himself, well, we say, for example, we'll say he needs to get himself into good form. He had a pretty good Japanese season. So hopefully he is in pretty good form. And if we're being brutally honest here, Lekanya has looked a little bit awkward in the last few weeks, and as a result, I think what we really need to do is we need to give Jesse Kriel a bit of game time, and it's 2 things. First of all, I think Lekanya starts. Lekanya can't start every single match, can't play every single minute of the World Cup. So we need to look at our other options. Our other options is Jesse Kriel. It is far too late to bring in additional players to cover 13, and as a result, he needs to get a run. And I personally I don't know what the sort of meltdown is about, to be perfectly honest. At the end of the day, when Lekanya is playing his best rugby, he's the best 13 in the world. We kind of know that. So that can't be the benchmark though. It's the same as if France leave, Antoine Dupont. Yes, they've got some really good scrum halves, but there's going to be a step down. Now, Jesse Kriel is a very different player to Lekanya. Lekanya is a very unique 13, to be honest. So he's not quite the same player. He doesn't necessarily bring the same sort of attributes to the party. But he's a good player. He's a very solid. I think solid is the best way to describe Jesse Kriel. And the biggest thing is he won't let you down. He's a very good defender. He's a very hard-working player. He's not slow at all. So there's certain sort of, I think, myths that we need to dispel about Jesse Kriel. One is that he's not slow. He can play on the wing for good reason and did play at fullback. He's very assured under the high ball, which you don't need to necessarily be at 13. It's not particularly important. But for a team that doesn't play a very kicking based game, as do most teams in the world, you can put him to use there. He was a fullback back in the day for good reason. He's not necessarily your most dynamic sort of attacking sort of creative player. But he's pretty hard running outside center. He's pretty physical. He gets through quite a few collisions. And he's a good defender. And sometimes you need a bit of that. I'll tell you what. In the last couple of weeks, we could have actually probably maybe used a bit of him with some of the abject tackling we did see last weekend in those sort of 2 weekends ago in those sort of first early stages against the All Blacks. So I think he deserves a run. I also think that we really need to start getting behind the players a bit more. We're very, very quick to criticize players who haven't even had a chance this year to play. We've got a lot of recency bias. So, a player will play well for 1 game, and then a player will play in the same position a week later, maybe not have the best game, and all of a sudden the person that played in the first game can't do anything wrong. He's got sent to it's a case of that player needs to be binned, and they don't get another chance. So we've got to look at all our options, and we've got to get game time into all our players, because we've seen that the Tonga are going to be a good side. Romania should be pretty comfortable, but you can afford to play very second string side against Romania, which we will do, I'm sure, and you should win. But the question is, can we afford to play our second string side against Tonga and get a victory? And now we're sort of sitting there going, we're not entirely sure. Because ideally, you want to be able to go full strength versus Scotland, rotate for Romania, semi-strength versus Tonga. Sorry, full strength against Scotland, full strength against... rotate against Romania, because that's the order. Full strength against Ireland, rotate a bit against Tonga, and then going full strength into quarter semis and finals. Our fixtures actually line up quite nicely, assuming we get through comfortably. Because I'm pretty sure with the way our fixtures look, we don't actually play that last weekend. So we actually will get a weekend off, which is really, really useful. So if we look at our fixtures over here, our last fixture is Tonga on the 1st of October. We don't play in that final weekend. Ireland, Scotland do, for example. New Zealand play on the 5th. France play on the 6th. Fiji, Portugal, the last game on the 8th of October. So we actually have a bit of a week break, which is very useful from a squad balancing point of view. So we probably could afford to play a stronger side against Tonga than we might have because it's our last group game. And by then we'll know what we need to do. You go and beat... funny enough, Jacques Nielbo actually said their most important game is the Scotland game. He says, everybody talks about the Ireland game. He says, for them, their important game is Scotland. And I think that the contingency is you beat Scotland, you beat Romania, you can afford to lose that Ireland game, go full strength for Tonga, beat Tonga, you'll get through. You don't have to worry. You lose that Scotland game, you cannot afford to lose that Ireland game. And the nice thing is, again, because with Tonga's our last game, you beat Scotland, you beat Romania. If you go and beat Ireland, for example, then all of a sudden you can sit there saying, right, cool, we rotate for Tonga. We give our stars, proper time off. We rotate for Tonga. If we win that, we can top the group. If we don't, we don't. But at the end of the day, if you're playing either New Zealand or France in the quarterfinals, it's not. I don't think there's that much difference between them. I don't think we'd probably really mind who we play. I'd be interested to know who we'd actually prefer to play. Probably, actually, I don't know. I'd say, I think from a team, if we were playing in South Africa, for example, I'd take France. Honestly, I'd rather play France right now than New Zealand. France at home are going to be so good. And I'm not saying that just because they're at home, they're a good side. They are a world-class side. But I feel like we are a team that can nullify France. But playing against that extra sort of on the crowd is going to be very difficult. I think the All Blacks are a side which play rugby that can counteract what we try and do. And we have to get things very right. Besides, Steve, I hope you're having a good week. Yeah, busy start to the morning, but yeah, we move. Jesse Kriel, good as neutralized Ireland's attack last autumn. SA fans have woefully short memories, 100%. I'm curious if we could take one of Estes or Kriel to the World Cup. I understand they play different roles, but it is not even a contest. Kriel does not make it. You 100% take Jesse Kriel before you take Andre Estes. That's not even a consideration. You 100% will be taking Jesse Kriel, not Andre Estes. You can't go to the World Cup with 113. Cannot go to the one World Cup with one outside centre. If you go to the World Cup without Andre Esterhuizen, Damien Willems has played 2 seasons of URC at 12. Andre Pollard can play 12 tomorrow. You've got options at 12. You leave Jesse Kriel up behind. Yakanya goes down. You've got no options at 13. You have to shift Damien Delaney to 13. And if we're being brutally honest, he's not a good 13. When he's playing well, he's the best number 12 in the world, but he's not a particularly good 13. It's a completely different role. You have to take Jesse Kriel to the World Cup. You have to take 2 13 options. And he can play wing. So he covers that as well. In a 6-2 split, you can start him at outside centre and shift him to the wing if needs be. So, yeah, Jesse Kriel to the World Cup for me is not even a conversation. People are asking about, oh, well, Kane Moody might be able to play 13 once eventually. Yeah, maybe he will play 13 eventually. He's never played a professional minute at 13. So he's not going to exactly do that for the box, is he? So I don't think there is a conversation about Andre Esterhuizen or Jesse Kriel, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that is a conversation. Then it's saying, I think Jesse will start at 13. Great player with experience, defense, utility, but in terms of attack, he is not as flashy. I'd like to see him get a chance at 15. I don't think we'll see it now. I'd love to see him at 15, back down his country. But I think that this weekend, I think we're going to see Andre Estes and Kriel as a combination, which should be quite interesting. Look, we can take both, hey? We can very much take both. That would be taking 4 centers. Delende, Estes, and Kriel. You then maybe take 1 fewer outside back. We've got that extra spot. So you take 3 scrum halves like normal. You take your 2 flower halves in Pollard and Monty Liebach, and you take Damien as a utility back. You can then take Kirkley, Mapimpi, Villy, and you can and those can be your players. That can be your squad. So you can afford to actually, we can tweak it around to take both. It's not necessarily a one or the other. I don't think it necessarily is. In fact, I'd be very surprised if it is the case of, do we take Estes or Kriel? For me, it's probably, do you take Estes or do you take Kane Moody? I think those two are far more sort of against each other, I suppose, for the World Cup squad, which is weird because they're completely different positions, but it's about who can cover where. Now they're both probably more expendable for the Boks because they're not as flexible. There isn't as much utility to them in the game. Kane Moody is a 14 at the moment. Yes, he might grow into being able to play outside centre, but right now he's a 14. Kirkley Aronson can play at wing and at full back. Chisholm Colby can play at wing and at full back. Billy LaRue can play at 15. And can play at 10 if he needs to, but obviously can play on the wing as well. Jesse Kriel can play 13, 14, and 11 if he needed to. But yeah, he can play on the wing as well. So yeah, I think for me, we're looking at, I think we had that 36-man squad. For me, it's a scrum half drops out and probably Kane Moody drops out. I like Kane Moody. I think Kane Moody's really good. He's looking really good at international level. But we're not going to take 4 wings. We're not going to take Kirkley Aronson, Chisholm Colby, Marcus Pimpy, and Kane Moody. 4 wings is ridiculous. You'll take 3 wings. Because Billy can play on the wing if need be. Jesse Kriel can play on the wing. So yeah, I don't think Kane Moody goes. I think Estes goes, and I think Kriel also goes. I don't think one has got anything to do with the other, to be honest. Double says Tonga's exciting backs, but set piece and pack is poor. Yeah, that's always kind of the issue, isn't it? If you don't have that front foot, then can you really get into the game? Major Bennett says, as long as we don't face All Blacks or Ireland in the finals, the World Cup is coming home. Obviously, why would it be Jesse or Andre to go to World Cup? Andre basically replaces France as Damien Delende backup. Both go. A contender saying, for the sake of redemption, I'll play Herschel at 9, Alton at 10 to give them a chance to stay playing for the Rugby World Cup. If they play bad, they'll watch their matches on TV for props. It's Thomas Toy versus Inyakani. Yeah, I'm really hoping to see Trevor go this weekend. I'd actually like to see Trevor and Thomas both start this weekend and get given a go to sort of see who's where. I'm very surprised that we haven't seen more of Trevor. And in fact, I'm quite disappointed we haven't seen more of Trevor. I thought at one stage he was one within our top 3 best props. So it's weird that we haven't seen him in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if there's fitness issues there. The fact he didn't get as much game time as we would have liked to have seen him get maybe in France. I don't know if there's a system issue. But when Jacques was asked last week Thursday about Trevor and why he's playing, he said no, he's in the mix. So yeah, it's not like he's injured, for example, or there's been a specific reason why he hasn't been playing. So it's very, very strange. But yeah, I think those two needs to be game time this weekend. I think you can afford not to go with Steven Kitsoff. I think you can afford to, if you want to, you can probably give Gerard Stenenkamp a go off the bench. I wouldn't. I would probably go Thomas Totoy and Frans Maherbe to start. I would then go Vincent Koch and Trevor off the bench. And I'd send Gerard Stenenkamp to Argentina. So that's what I would do. Again, I'm not the one making the calls, and we'll kind of find out exactly how that's all going to work out tomorrow when it is announced. In terms of other predictions, apparently, Monty Liebach is set to start again as at 10. The rumors are that Esterhuizen will start, so I think it could be a Esterhuizen and Kriel center combination. I think Monty Liebach starts at 10. I think Villiers will continue to start. Maybe Willem will get around at 15. I think your wings will be Kirkley, Orange, Sanchez, and Colby. And I think your scrum half will probably be Fat Clerk, which I think I would go as well. I also think that we then need to give a couple of players some more game time. I think Franco Mossa needs to play this weekend. I think Jasper Wiese needs to play this weekend. I think that I don't think Malcolm Marks necessarily needs to play this weekend, so I think I'd play Joseph Dweber. I'd actually start Joseph Dweber and bring on Bongi. I think Bongi needs game time more than Marks does. I think he needs 4 more than Marks does. I think Luat Diaga needs to play this weekend. I think Dion Perry needs to play this weekend. So I'm very interested to see the sort of type of team we go this weekend. I don't think that, like, for example, Quack Smith, I don't think he needs to necessarily play. I wouldn't mind getting more minutes, but I think I was pretty happy with what I saw. I don't think it was his best game, but he wasn't off the pace, for example. It wasn't. I don't think we sat there going, "Oh, he's not in good form." I just think that he struggled a little bit with the loose chair he was in. So I think a lot of this weekend needs to be a couple of the players who need some more game time, and maybe look at testing a few combinations. So yeah, that is the current sort of squad situation. Contenders say I take Williams ahead of Hendricks. Hendricks is younger and has more time to grow. Harsh but facts, both great players. I think Jaden will play this weekend, and I think then we'll sort of understand where he's at. Ninja saying either way, Billy needs to step aside for younger players. We will miss his world-class playmaking abilities. He was going to cover Billy in the next few years. Yeah, but like not now. Like, are we really talking about him stepping aside like 46 days before the World Cup starts? We'll talk about time after Billy when we get to time after Billy. When is the squad announcement? I'm worried about players like Inyakani, Ruiz, Dion, who do not have a good proper minutes to take their claim. The squad is being announced on the 8th of August. It's a Tuesday, and we play our first game overseas against I think it's the All Blacks on the 18th, or it's Wales on the 19th, and the All Blacks on the 25th, one of the two. But yes, we're going over for those 2 warm games. We play against Argentina on the 5th, and then fly back, and the squad is announced on the 8th, and I imagine they'll leave at the end of that week. We haven't got an announcement on when they're going to leave. I'm sure there'll be a send-off of some sort, but the squad will be announced on the 8th of August. That has been confirmed. So obviously, we'll be live on that day, and we'll be sort of taking you through the squad announcement. And until then, we get speculate. So yeah, I've got a poll running in the comments, which I'm going to actually end now. It's going to be a bit of a short show because I'm having a few difficulties with the start. And we will have the press conference up a bit later, and hopefully that'll also give us a bit of idea of what's plotting. But yeah, I think again the poll's going yes, 75% saying he deserves chance. He's not going to bench Lekanya, but I am a bit worried about Lekanya. He doesn't look like he's playing his best rugby. He doesn't look like he's in the best physical condition at the moment. So you're going to give him as much time as possible, aren't you? I mean, he's one of the best centers in the world. So you are going to make sure and give him every single opportunity to get back to his best. And even when he's not at his best, he can, he's still often better than other sort of options. But if it's an injury issue, for example, and then that happens again and something else happens, we need to be in a position where we can afford to either leave him out for a game, or if we need to, if he does pick up an injury or whatever, we obviously need to be in a position where we can replace him. And as a result, you need your other 13 option, who is JC Kriel, to have game time. And I think this weekend is a very good weekend. It's interesting though, because I think the Kanya does also need game time. So I think you maybe go, I don't know if you go JC Kriel now and then you send the Kanya to Argentina, which sounds weird because generally you'd be doing it the other way around. I don't think there is the right answer, to be honest. I don't. But one thing for sure is we've got to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity within the squad for before the squad announcement, and we go to the World Cup. And yeah, this weekend is probably as good a weekend as ever to start that sort of process. So yeah, we'll wait exactly. As I said, we have to wait and see what the final squad announcement will be tomorrow. As I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be announced at about 2 o'clock. So you'll see when we reschedule the stream. We will be live then, and yeah, we'll obviously have the press conference up tomorrow. We'll have the press conference up this afternoon. We'll have an Argentina press conference for you on Thursday. We'll chat to Michael Cheika a bit. We'll be live for Thursday for Fan Forum. We'll be live tomorrow, obviously, for the announcement. and we will have previews and breaking news videos throughout the week. We're also busy starting our World Cup coverage plan at the moment, so there's a lot of behind the scenes things going. As I said, if you have missed the announcement, we are going across to France. We are going to take you guys with us on a bit of a backstage tour, which is going to be a lot of fun. So a lot of planning is happening behind the scenes with regards to that. People, keep well, keep safe. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow this time for that squad announcement, where we can really sort of pick apart and see exactly what's plotting. Until then,